Today, writing linear equations. The good news, y'all did this in Algebra 1. Okay, that's the good news. I don't want to say bad news, but the not great news. In Algebra 1, we did like 3 different lessons of this lesson. Today, it's all 3 different lessons from Algebra 1 compiled into one lesson. Okay, so that's the main differences. I will say this, I did change the PowerPoints up a little bit from what's on Schoology. So if you are following along, don't write super far ahead because it's different. Okay, I took some things out and moved some things around. Okay. Anyways, let's move. So the main form of a line that we're going to use in here is what's called slope-intercept form. And anybody remember what that is? Y equals mx plus b. Where m is the slope, b is the y-intercept, x and y are your coordinates. Alright, that ain't up there, but that's important to know. M is your slope, B is your y-intercept, X, Y are your coordinates. Okay? Now, if you are given the slope and the y-intercept, this is what this box says, you can summarize as best you can. If you're given the slope and the y-intercept of a line, you can find the equation of the line by substituting the values of m and b into the slope-intercept form. Basically, what that all says is this. We're going to have 3 steps today as far as the work we're going to do. Alright, step 1. We're going to figure out our slope. Whether it's given to us or whether we got to find it, we're going to figure out our slope. Alright, step 2. We're going to figure out our y-intercept. Once again, it might take a little work. Sometimes it'll be given to us. Depends. And excuse me. And then step 3, we are going to rewrite. Every single answer you give today, every single answer you give on Tuesday, on the quiz, on your lesson check, what have you, your homework, for these types of questions should start with these words. Y equals. Okay? You have to rewrite it so that way you have it in the equation of a line form. But those are your essential 3 steps. And those 3 steps are going to be on every single problem. Okay? Every single problem we do today. Those 3 steps. Now, the work to get to those 3 steps may change problem to problem. But boil it down, that's what we're going to do. Questions on that? You good? So, the first one. Write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form with the following. A slope of 4/3 passing through the point 0, 4. Step 1. Find the slope. There it is. Step 2, find the what? Y-intercept. Okay, now remember you're going to y equals mx plus b, right? And where we said in the last slide that m is my slope, which is 4/3. B is my y-intercept, which we don't know. And x and y are my coordinates, correct? Which means that this 0 here is an x, and that 4 is a y. So you can plug all of that in, all right? So go 4 equals m is 4/3. X is 0 plus b. And then you solve for b. Okay, sometimes that'll be nice, sometimes it won't be so nice. This one's really nice, because 0 times 4/3 is 0. 0 plus b is b, so b equals 4. Okay, so that's step 2. Find your y-intercept, right there. Step 3, rewrite. Rewrite it so that it's an in-slope-intercept form. So y equals, slope is 4/3. Don't forget your x. plus 4. Alright, so next one. Write an equation of the line, the slope-intercept form that passes through 6, negative 2. Okay, so now we don't have our y-intercept right away. That's okay, with slope of negative 4. So step 1, find your slope. There it is. There's my x. There's my y. And step 2, we're going to solve for b. So negative 2 equals negative 4 times 6 plus b. Negative 2 equals negative 4 times 6 gives you negative 24 plus b. Add 24 to both sides to give you 22 equals b. Alright, then go and rewrite your line with your slope and y-intercept in it. So y equals negative 4x plus 22. This work right here that I'm circling in pink or boxing in pink is in every single problem you do today. Okay, so it's very important to make sure you know how to solve that equation right there. It's pretty simple, right? Multiply them and subtract or add it over and you're done. But it shows up in every single one. Make sure the parts go in the right place, stuff like that. These are kind of the easiest ones too, right? When they just give you the slope and a point, plug them in and go, right? Yeah. Okay, so you go, this first one here, 3 equals 1/2 times 2 plus b. You will have to work with fractions here, guys. All right, it's the nature of the beast. Okay, it's the part of the problems. It's part of the territory. All right, sometimes they work out nice like this one does. Sometimes later on today they won't. It's part of it. Okay, gotta get good with fractions. To get really good grades in here. All right. But 1/2 times 2 gives you 1, which is nice. At least they fall out. So 3 equals 1 plus b. Subtract 1 from both sides. So b equals 2. And then rewrite that line. Y equals 1/2 x plus 2. Alright, last one there. Negatives all about them. That's okay. Same process. Negative 1 equals negative 3 times negative 2 plus b. Negative 1 equals 6 plus b. And then you subtract 6 from both sides. You get negative 7 equals b. Rewrite her. Y equals negative 3x minus 7.
Isn't 1/2 times 2 30?
1/2 times 1/2, or 1/2 times 2. No, it's 1. Next problem. Write the equation in point-slope form for the line that passes through the points 3, negative 5, and negative 3, negative 1. Alright, so this is changing up the question just a little bit. Now instead of giving you a point and the slope, I give you 2 points that the line goes through. But your process, those 3 steps, they stay the same. Find your slope, find your y-intercept, you rewrite it. Okay? So this one, how are we going to find the slope? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, right? Okay, so y2 is negative 1 minus x1 is negative 5. That was a terrible 5. Much better. All over negative 1. Nope, sorry, hold on. Negative 3 minus 3. right? Yeah. Okay. So -1 minus -5 is -1 plus 5, so 4. -3 minus 3 is -6. And that reduces to -2/3. Okay, so there's your slope. You could also use the program I just gave you, right? Okay, fire that thing up, plug them in, hit enter, boom, spits out -2/3 and you're done. Okay, so it saves you time. Those programs. It reduces the fraction, it spits it out to you as a fraction. Yep. Okay?
Which one should we use? The first one?
Yeah, I would definitely go in order. Go 3, then 5. Oh, you're talking to solve for y?
Yes.
Yeah, you know, Booker's got a point. Which one do you use? It doesn't really matter. Okay? Either point, as long as you do everything correctly, will give you the same line because they both points go through that line. Okay, so that's okay. It's just whichever one you pick. In most cases, it really won't make too big a difference. So yeah, we can go ahead and pick the first one. All right, because you pick your slope with a point. So -5 equals, your slope is -2/3. X is 3 plus b. So it becomes -5 equals -2/3 times 3 here becomes just -2, right? Everybody good? The 3's cancel out like that. And then add 2 to both sides. So b is -3. Good. And then you, step 3, rewrite. So it's like 2/3 x minus 3. All right, the other two types of problems you're going to have this lesson is whenever they're dealing with parallel and perpendicular lines. Okay, so let's do a little thinking back. Parallel lines have what? They never touch, right? Okay, what about their slopes? Same. Okay, parallel lines have the same slopes. If they're never going to touch, then they have to be moving the same rate, right? So they have the same slopes. Okay, which is good to know because you're going to have to know for one, but that makes the problem easier. Perpendicular lines intersect at a what? What kind of angle? Right angle. Good. Okay, they intersect at a right angle, and for that to happen, their slopes have to be what? Anybody remember? Opposite. What? Not just opposite. Starts on R. Reciprocal. Good. Opposite reciprocals. Okay. Basically, what that means is you flip your fraction, you switch your sign. Flip and switch. Okay. Perpendicular lines mean flip and switch. Parallel lines, slopes are the same. Okay. Now, what that changes to this is the type of problems you're going to have dealing with parallel and perpendicular lines. Okay. Everybody summarize up here pretty well. Already done? Yeah. Okay. I'll say hopefully you didn't write every single word because a lot of it's fluff. So here's the questions and what they're going to look like. Whenever you have parallel and perpendicular line questions, typically what's going to happen is I'm going to give you a point and I'm going to give you a line. Okay, so for example, write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line that passes through 3, 7 and is parallel to the line with the equation y equals 3/4 x minus 5. So I give you the point that I want your line to go through, which is 3, 7. I also give you the line that I want your line parallel to. Okay, so here's my line. Down here is going to be your line. Okay. And if these lines are going to be parallel, they're both going to have slopes of what? 3/4. Okay? My line needs to be parallel to your line. So since my slope is 3/4, your slope is about to be, there we go, 3/4. Make sense? And you want your line to go through the point 3,7. So there's your slope. Here's an x. Here's a y. Plug it in. So 7 equals 3/4 times 3 plus b. Okay. Multiply 3/4 and 3 together, which gives you what? Anybody know? I don't like those ones. Go math frac. 2 1/4 or improper fractions. 2 1/4 would be how many fourths total? Too big. How many fourths are there in 2? 8. Add 1. 9. 9/4. Okay. Or just multiply 3 times 3 right here. See that? Okay. 3 times 3 is 9. So you get 9/4 plus b. Okay. Now I didn't write 7 yet. See how I did that? Didn't do that yet? Okay. Here's why. As you guys get better and more comfortable with solving these equations, their fractions are going to come out a little bit more. Okay, they're going to happen. It's going to. All right, it's part of the chapter, part of the material. So, what I'm saying is this: I want you guys to get comfortable with these fractions. Okay, and here's why. And here's how I want you guys to start thinking about this. This is 9/4 over here, right? Okay. Your next step in this is to what? Subtract that 9/4 over because we're going to solve for b, correct? Alright, that's what I've been doing all day. If we're going to subtract 9/4 from 7, we need these two to have what? Denominators that are the same. Okay? So, here's the challenge. Here's the trick. You need this denominator to be 4. Right? So you need to figure out what to put there that when you divide it by 4, you get 7. So essentially what I'm asking you is, what's 7 times 4? 28. And it goes there. Right? Because what's 28 divided by 4? 7. You go right back to what you had. See that? Okay. Now, subtract over the 9/4, and now all you really need to do is what's 28 minus 9. See how that works out? 19. And don't forget your fourths. Done. No calculators involved. Step 3, don't forget it, rewrite. Y equals 3/4 x plus 19/4. Write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line that passes through 5, -6 and is perpendicular to the line with the equation y equals -3/2 x plus 7. So last time we needed a line that was parallel to my line. This time you need a line that is perpendicular to my line. Okay, so if my line here has this slope of -3/2, okay, you need a slope that's perpendicular to it. So instead of -3/2, you need to flip this fraction and switch the sign. So from 3/2, you flip it and it goes to 2/3. And from negative, it goes to positive. So it goes from -3/2 to positive 2/3. Flip, switch. Flip fraction, switch sign. Flip sign, switch fraction, however you want to think about it. Either one, okay? As long as it gets done. Slope is 2/3. And what point do you partner it up with? The point I give you. 5, -6. Plug everything in. -6. It's 2/3 times 5 plus b. Okay, so what's 2/3 times 5? 10/3. Yeah, 10/3. 10/3. Good. Okay. Now, on the left side, just because the 6 is negative doesn't change that process. It just means whatever fraction you put over here is going to be negative also. Okay, so you don't have to worry about your sign rules there. Since this is in thirds, we need this over here to be in thirds. All right, and then so what's 6 times 3? 18. And this is negative because it's negative up here. See that? Okay, next step, subtract 10/3. So then you have -18/3 minus 10/3. So essentially you have -18 minus 10.
That's 36 over a third, right?
Iverson. -28.
Oh,
Going way over top, buddy.
okay.
-20. You are tripping, but you're sitting down. That's
I thought
weird.
it was like another like 8.
No.
18, something.
-28 over 3. Good. B, and then rewrite. Alright, so y equals. Now, be careful on perpendicular ones. I see this occasionally. Make sure you use your slope. Okay, you want to use your slope of 2/3, not my slope of -3/2. Alrighty, let's see how we're doing. So, this time you're not given a line that you get the slope off of, you're given 2 points that you got to get the slope off of. So you use either your program or you use slope formula, okay, which most of y'all I saw were doing. Okay, it's great. So you got y2, let's just say is -3, minus y1, which is -5, over x2, which is -7, minus x1, which is -1, which gives you -3 plus 5 to give you 2. -7 plus 1 gives you -6, and -2 6 reduces to -1/3. All right. So that's the slope you find from the points you're given. So this is the slope of my line. Your line slope needs to be what compared to my line?
Like a straight line.
Not quite. Perpendicular. It's right there. P word. Okay? Perpendicular. So you don't use -1/3 as your slope. You use what? 3 over 1 or 3. So this is the work to find my slope. The slope you're going to use is 3. Okay? And you're going to partner it up with the point that passes through your line, which is 1, 3. There's your M, there's your X, there's your Y. Solve for B. So 3 equals 3 times 1 plus b. 3 equals 3 plus b. Subtract 3 from both sides. B equals 0. Is that okay? Can your y-intercept cross at 0? Yeah, that's cool. Okay, because 0 on the y-axis is the same as 0 on the x-axis, which is also known as the starts with an O. No, on the graph. Origin. Starts with starts with the origin. All right, now step 3. Rewrite it. Y equals 3x plus 0. Do we need the plus 0? No. Y equals 3x. Your homework for the weekend, page 31, 32, 1 through 9, and number 18. Even though there's no lesson check on Tuesday for this, I'm still collecting this on Tuesday, okay? So this is your only homework for me throughout the weekend. On Tuesday, we will work on a worksheet over the same questions in class. That'll be due towards the end of the hour. And then maybe Wednesday we'll do a lesson check. We'll see. I'm thinking yes, but we'll see. Okay?